4 conversation mistakes that instantly turn women off. Number 1, you're seeking her approval and her validation, be that via text, on dating apps, on the first date, on the third date. You desperately want to make it work with her, but you have to understand that if you're looking to find the right girlfriend or wife, you can only keep the type of woman you're willing to lose. So instead of trying to impress her, focus on expressing yourself. Focus on self-amusement. Am I saying what I'm saying because I want a good reaction from her primarily? Or am I just saying it because it's an authentic expression of who I am? Yes, you can say what's true in an effective or in an ineffective way, so you do have to become good at communicating. But first and foremost, do you do it because you want her to approve of it or not? It's not the thing, but the place it's coming from. Smiling can be a beautiful thing, and it can build attraction and connection. If you're not a ginger with crooked teeth, jokes aside, if it's an authentic expression of what you're experiencing in the moment. But if you have this acceptance-seeking head nod, because you're trying to avoid conflict, it will destroy attraction. So at any given point during the interaction with her, are you doing what you're doing because you believe it's right, because it feels good within your core, or because you want a good reaction? And obviously, you want a good reaction from her. But funny enough, the more you focus on not getting a good reaction, not getting one, but simply just expressing yourself, connecting, self-amusing, sharing positivity, the higher the probability that you will actually get a good reaction. The best reactions I've ever had from women on dates, or from Amanda, my fiance, who I've been with now for 5.5 years, is when I actually don't care at all how it lands. Now, obviously, I'm still calibrated. You still have to be a calibrated member of society, and you're not going to act too far outside of what's socially acceptable. But you can basically talk about anything as long as it's authentic to you. That's the first mistake. The second mistake you're making that turns the right women off instantaneously is being too logical and boring in your communication. You communicate with women the way you would with men in a professional environment. If you're a man who's doing well in your career or your business, you've learned to communicate very concise, very professional, very logically. In a business meeting, you would never say something just for the sake of saying it. There's a lot of thought that goes into what you're about to say because you don't want to waste anybody's time. And that is a competence in one context. But it's a disaster in a context of dating and relationships, and then you turn the first date into an interview, or you simply bore her because you're very factual. She does not come to the first date for a logical exchange of information. She wants to feel alive. So you have to engage in storytelling. You have to act things out. That is just a skill set that you can learn. And again, it's not my stories. It's not my way of expressing myself. My mentor, who I learned from in the space of dating, he has a very different communication style to me. Much more serious, much more stern. But the principles behind it, they're the same. You're going to find your own authentic way of telling your stories in the most impactful way possible. Next, I kind of hinted at it already. It's asking too many questions. And you could say it's part of point number 2, but I really want to re-emphasize how much this matters. You run out of things to say, and then you place the burden of the conversation on her. Because you've heard on the internet that all you're supposed to do is just ask her questions and there's a magic connection. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to assume the burden of the conversation right up until she starts investing. And then you're not going to have a script in your head. You listen. You'll actually listen. Not in a way because you care about the outcome of a date, but because you're fully present, and then you ping pong off of what she has to say. And then you go into the story, and then there's a little bit of tease, and there's flirtatiousness. And then you infuse a man-to-woman connection into the conversation, which is the last point we're going to talk about in a minute. But you cannot just be asking her questions. Look, I have had or still have a client of mine who is one of the most successful, we got to cut that part, one of the most successful surgeons in the world. We're just going to bleep it. We're not going to cut it. We're just going to beep out the specializations. One of the most successful surgeons in the world. He's in a happy relationship now with an amazing woman who's beautiful inside out. But when he came to me, one of the difficulties he had was he was also asking a lot of questions, because what do you do when you work in medicine? You interview people. You ask them questions to understand their situation. And then you take that same habit into dating and relationships, because if you're a kind, caring, intelligent, hardworking man and you actually care about women, not in a virtue signaling way, I care about women, but you actually do, you're genuinely interested, not because you're pretending to be a good person, but because you genuinely do, then you want to ask her questions. And obviously you will ask her questions. But in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the date, just do 80% of the talking until she starts investing. It's not supposed to be you dominating the conversation in some weird way, but she wants to get to know you. She wants to get to know as many different facets of your personality as possible over the course of the first date. So the more you can tell different stories, and some stories are 2 sentences long, some are 11 minutes long, the more she gets to know you as a man. Because remember, what women know about you greatly determines how attracted they are to you. And what they know about you depends on, guess what and how you communicate it. You can give her an insight into who you are as a man without bragging, without self-qualifying, without trying to impress, that will naturally get her excited about you. You can have stories about romantic adventures. You can have stories about careers, jobs, your business, friendships, life. One thing that's very important is most of the first couple of dates should just be fun and lighthearted. Don't make it too serious. Another sub-point of point number 3, if you will, 2 to 3, we're going to blend it. Not very German of me today, but all right, is having deep and meaningful conversations too quickly. Look, my job is having deep and meaningful conversations with people. I'm a coach. I help men find the right girlfriend or wife. So there's dating, but there's a huge aspect of personal development. I like going deep quickly. I used to hate small talk. I used to wonder, why are we going to waste our time being surface level? Why don't we just go deep straight away? It freaks them out. It's too much pressure. It feels too heavy. Even if she really wants to get to know you, even if you really like deep and meaningful conversations, timing really matters. There's a fire alarm going off in the building, but I think we can maybe block that out. We keep rolling with it. If we have to cut, we cut. No worries. I think the AI software will be perfectly fine. This is a perfect example, by the way. If something goes wrong on the date, then you can let it throw you off your game, or you can just own it. You can stay calm and you can stay grounded, because no matter what happens, your number one job as a man on a date is to bring certainty to the situation. And no matter what the circumstance may be, it could be a fire alarm going off, it could be her presenting you with a congruence test, it could be a situation with the waiter. It's your job to handle it. And that doesn't mean that you can't have emotions of nervousness or a moment of pause to reorient yourself, but you bring certainty to the situation. So, yes, you're allowed to have deep and meaningful conversations. Yes, part of the first date is supposed to be deep and meaningful, but most of it fun and lighthearted. And point number 4, you have to learn to create a man-to-woman connection. Extremely important. If you talk to her like a friend, she will perceive you as a friend, verbally as well as non-verbally, in a respectful way. You have to create a degree of romantic spark. And if you're a man who's got most areas in his life already figured out, you're doing well in your career or your business, but the last missing piece of the puzzle is a relationship to the right woman, then simply click the link in my bio and apply for a free initial consultation. Looking forward to speaking with you soon. Take care.